Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am your host for today's activities. Our topic today is brought to you by Peggy Spear. She's going to talk about moms and art. And she is with us through the courtesy of Amon Carter Museum of American Art. Peggy, we can't wait to see what moms you have brought for us today. Take it away, Peggy. Good morning, Nancy.
Martha, I want to say before, because I keep forgetting about it, your introduction reminds me a lot of Robin Williams. Good morning, Vietnam.
Okay. Thank you for that. Morning, Paulette and Phil.
Good morning. How's everyone this morning?
We're doing well. How are you?
Good. We're hanging in.
Another day.
I had just turned it over to Peggy to talk about moms.
All right. Well, maybe you're aware, maybe you're not, because the year is going faster than I can even believe. It's Mother's Day this upcoming weekend on Sunday. So I thought we would look at some of our some artworks in our collection that honor motherhood or are inspired by motherhood. And I had quite the selection to choose from. We have so many different photographs, images, paintings, you name it. And every genre, we have artworks that honor mothers, children, and their relationship with moms. So it was, the four I selected are 4 female artists in our collection, and kind of all over, mostly photographs. We got 1 print. So we're going to start with this photograph first by a female photographer. Her name is Nell Dorr. And we've looked at photographs of hers in the past. She was very well known for photographing maternal scenes, children with their moms, domestic scenes that document that delicate, that sweetness between mother and child. So this is one of those examples. So tell me, what do we see here?
Oh, just a mother loving a child.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe the child's asleep.
Yeah.
Yes. Mama looks like she's a child too.
She looks like a child too. You know what? I'm not sure how old she is in this photograph. This woman's name is Tasha Tudor, and she was a well-known illustrator in her day. She was kind of the Martha Stewart of her day. She was, I think what she was really known for was it Moonshine Pumpkin or something like that? It's an illustrated series. But anyway, she was a baker, she was a seamstress, she was really good with gardening and things like that. So that's who this particular woman is. And she was young, married. I mean, as that time would have been, she was married young and started having children within a year of like right after getting married. So she ended up having 4 children. And I'm not sure which child this is, but it is her child. It's not another woman holding her baby. It is her with her baby.
Hey, Peggy.
Yeah.
What is the woman in the picture's name again?
Tasha Tudor. Tutor.
It looks like she's sleeping too.
Yeah. It looks like one of those, someone said, I think you did, Steve, loving on her baby. To me, it looks like that moment where you almost want to eat your kid. It's just so yummy. And almost that smell, just taking a big whiff of, whether it's your baby or not, and you're holding a baby, just the smell of a small baby. It's almost like she's sniffing the baby in this moment.
She's enjoying the moment.
Yeah. Yes. It feels like Yetta is saying, almost like we caught her in a very private moment with her baby. It's a very sincere and true depiction of that mom loving that moment with her baby. And so Nell Dorr, this photograph was taken with Nell Dorr was a mom of 3 girls. and they were in a home in New Hampshire with Tasha and her 4 children. And it was taken during the start of the World War II. So everyone's spouses were at war. And so it was this house of Nell and her 3 daughters, and then their children, and then Tasha and all of her children. So it was a lot of that Martha Stewartness happening, where they were gardening and they were playing together as a family. And really, firsthand, Nell was so inspired by the different dynamics of her children with their children, of her with her grandchildren, that she took enough pictures during their time together in New Hampshire that she actually put together a book called Mother and Child. And it's all photographs of different things of the everyday you would see when living in a household with children. So while this is a very intimate and loving scene, there are other scenes of, 2 children laying in bed with their mom in the morning, or one of the moms helping the little girl put her dress on. Very sweet, innocent looking pictures. How does this picture make you feel?
Sleepy.
Sleepy?
Just happy.
Happy.
My heart is full.
Heart is,
Yeah. Contented.
Yeah, contented, yeah.
Is a good word.
It makes me miss my kids when they were babies.
Exactly.
I
It makes
know.
us remember.
When they were babies and they're all grown up now.
I just had my baby turn 1 year old, and already I'm like, oh my God, I already miss you as a little bean. And she's still a little bean, but that age is so fleeting.
Yeah.
So it was, these pictures were very special and dear to Nell, because she was able to capture such, like we're saying, such fleeting moments and private, intimate moments that you miss when you think of these years of a baby. These are the types of moments. You have to block out the crying nights and the, colic and all that. I think our brains make us forget that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have more than one baby. But these are those moments that Nell really focused on. All right, so we're gonna switch from Nell, and sadly, I must note, Nell, after this stay here, she had 3 daughters. She lost her middle daughter in 1954, and after that moment, Nell was very committed to then only taking pictures of family dynamic. It really kind of wrecked her as a person, as you can imagine, losing a child.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got our Mary Kasad. Martha was excited to see our friend Mary Kasad. What do we see here?
A bare bottom.
A bare bottom, yeah.
A baby
Naked
bottom.
baby.
You see a pudgy little baby bottom. Can you tell what room they're in or where they're sitting?
It looks like a parlor.
Like a parlor?
It's like a bedroom.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see the bed frame.
Oh, that's a bed frame. Okay.
Yeah.
And behind her is a chair, or she's sitting on a chair.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a dry point aqua tint and etching. And this was one of 10 in a series that she produced that was going to go on view Paris at a
Are you okay?
fair, but because she was an expat, she is American but living in Paris, because she was not French, she was not able to show. So she ended up showing this along with the 9 other artworks in a gallery just down the street, kind of thumbing her nose at this exclusion.
Good for
And
her.
Yeah, right. Well, and she was good friends with Degas, the painter Degas, who painted the ballerinas. I'm sure some of you have seen those famous paintings or sculptures of ballerinas. Degas, and then Toulouse-Lautrec was another one of her good friends, who was a very famous French painter as well. So she was able to use her connections to other well-received artists to then get her artwork shown, which then got her, she was very well known in her day as well. But Mary Cassatt is a really interesting study. So does anyone know anything about the painter Mary Cassatt?
No.
No.
I just know I love what she does.
Yes. She is very well known for her her paintings of women, her maternal scenes of women, any woman with their child. And she was, what started this love interest with these maternal paintings was her sister-in-law and her nephew. The way that she saw them interacting really inspired her. And that's when she started to depict these scenes. She does a lot of painting. She's very well known for her painting. So this work on paper series is not super common for her. And here we don't know, she has not identified who the woman and the child are, but we are able to connect with these people because it's a very familiar type of scene, whether you are a child remembering these moments, hugging your mom, or as a mom or an aunt or somebody, you know, these loving moments. And she was a bit of a feminist in her right too. So this is, I'm going to get kind of art history-ish on you, but it's very fascinating. And I remember learning about this in undergrad, and I never viewed a Cassatt the same. She was really, during this time, there was this thing happening called the male gaze. So male artists were painting pictures of women, knowing that it is a male painting a woman and a male will be the one that's going to view this artwork. So it was objectifying women. And it would be oftentimes within, I'm thinking, you know, if you're thinking of biblical scenes, it would be men maybe looking at a woman, a naked woman within the artwork. So there you were looking at the male gaze, looking at a woman, even as a male looking at the painting. And then it started evolving that men were sometimes removed from the painting and it was still a naked woman, but she was objectified again. And then it started changing during this time where Impressionists were then challenging this male gaze. And Mary Cassatt is considered an Impressionist. She started changing the male gaze where the woman wasn't looking back. The woman was continuing to do what she wanted to do, even though she was being viewed by a male.
Very big drop.
So it was not about this persona of a woman is doing what she needs to do because she knows a male is watching her. A woman is doing what she wants to do, even though she knows someone is watching her. So here, in most Cassatts, the woman is almost never looking out at you. She's engaged in what she's doing. And we know men are looking at this, because and Mary knows men will be looking at this, but she doesn't care. So if you ever are looking at Cassatts in a museum or online, almost always you're seeing the side of her face. You never see the woman looking out to you. And so this was kind of radical at the time in that she was doing what she knew she needed to do as a mom. And a lot of these things were, it might be a woman even reading a newspaper. She was engaged in an intellectual pursuit, which was not how men would be viewing women at that time. So what seems is just like a loving scene of a mom and a child. There was a lot more the audiences would have been picking up at that time than just a sweet scene of a mom with a child. All right, that was all the art history on that one. Whew.
Say Peggy,
Yeah.
is the fact that it's the colors are primarily brown and flesh, is that because of the process they used to make the painting?
It was a little bit, so this isn't actually a painting, this is an etching.
Yeah.
And she was really inspired by, the color choices are deliberate. She chose those color choices, but she was really inspired by Japanese prints, which are a flattening, broad swaths of color, a flattening of the surface, and very, not monochromatic, but the colors complement each other. So, You know, here you can see the gray patterning on her dress. That's the
Right.
aqua tint. That's her going
Okay.
back in. The dry point and the etching are the things that you're seeing, like the baby's individual hairs, the curls on our mom's face, some of the lines in her dress. He was very sparing with the etching and the dry point, but used the aqua tint to then give it definition. So she could have used any color she wanted. She deliberately kept a very neutral palette for this and was inspired by Japanese print.
Okay, thank you.
So this particular artwork is on view right now, actually. It hadn't been on view in a long time, but it's about 10 inches by 14 inches. It's not massive, but it's very darling. It's very beautiful. And so it will be up through August, maybe. So if you happen to make it to the museum, you will be able to view this little gem.
So does she have a dress on or is that a robe?
I believe it is a dress.
Okay.
She has cuffs, and then
Okay, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this, I don't know how many editions. Oh, there are 25 editions of this series of prints. So I'm not sure which number edition we have, but if this is one of 10, and we only have this particular one of the 10, and there were 25 editions of that 10. Okay.
It's
Oh, go
another
ahead.
it's another instance of Ruth Carter Stevenson spending her daddy's money.
Yeah, I don't have the acquisition number, so I don't know written down, so I don't remember what year that it entered our collection. But yeah, this was, and as an American art museum, you have to have a Kasad. I mean, she's just so important in the canon of art history. And so we have a painting of hers. It's a woman holding a fan. It's not a maternal scene, but it's the same thing. The woman's holding a fan and she's looking down and fixing her dress. So she's very engaged in what she's doing, and she does not care what people see her doing. And again, so you're just seeing the side of her face. All right, so we're going to jump to the next.
Oh.
I know, the sweet little hands.
Mhm.
So what emotions? Paulette's was pretty visceral. What kind of feeling do you have when you see this photograph?
Soothing.
I'm not sure I heard. What did someone say?
Soothing.
Soothing,
Contented.
Loving.
loving.
Loving. Yeah.
It feels safe.
Mhm.
Yeah, not wanting to let go.
Yes. Yeah, and Kasad in the last one did the same type of thing. That baby is completely inside the mom's body, so you get that sense of protection. That mom is the protector of that little bub. And the same thing here. The mom is enveloping her hands around the little child.
I see a belly button.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think, based on how her hands are in the little baby's hands, it might have been one of those things where she's sitting and the baby's resting on her legs, you know, like looking back at her, or they're laying on the bed and she's, propped, it looks like the baby might be looking at her and she's looking at the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're engaged.
Yes. Yeah, and it feels like they're in the middle of playing or singing, like you're catching them in the midst of something.
Mhm.
So
Maybe
this
teaching him patty cake.
yeah. Oh, yeah. How sweet. And that when they're that age, those fingers are just little sausages. You just, they're so sweet. And so this particular photographer, this entered our collection in the early aughts, I believe. But Mary Ellen Mark, is a well-known photographer. She did a lot of photographs for Vogue, Vanity Fair, that beat. She was based up in New York, and she was very interested in babies, children, And I have a quote from her that's kind of funny. She does not have any children of her own. And she says, "I've always felt children and teenagers are not children. They're just small people. I look at them as little people and either I like them or I don't like them." I get it.
Yeah.
So she even though she didn't have children, she was very, very dialed into that dynamic of children with their parents. And so she was really well known. What really made her name was in the 60s, she did a lot of documentation photography of kind of the subculture of cities. I think Seattle was where she did a lot of photography of homeless people, of protests, things like that, things that weren't always the most popular subjects to photograph. And she got really close with a woman who ended up having something like 6 or 7 kids and documenting her relationship with her children and in a very unstable environment and things like that. So she came from a very privileged background. She went to UPenn. She actually was classmates with Candace Bergen, the Murphy Brown. And so, you know, she was able to access a lot, but her photographs were typically of things that were not the type of life she grew up with. So while this is not typical of her documentary type of photographs, this is still, she did a lot of photographs of children. So it's very sweet.
Oh, this makes me miss my days when I had my own darkroom, developed my own black and white film and printed copies and stuff.
Were these the type of photographs you would take, pictures of you know, you and your girls at home?
Oh yeah.
How nice.
Oh, I loved it. It was one, and my younger daughter was the one who wanted to be my helper. So she used to help me print and stuff.
Do you have any more of those prints, or did she take them, or are they somewhere?
Yeah, I still have a bunch of those prints that I took.
Oh, how wonderful. If you can dig them up, you'll have to show us.
Oh, I will. Trust me on that. I've shown a couple of them before.
I love it. We've got one more photograph, and this is kind of different than the ones we've been looking at, but I think another glimpse of motherhood. This Lara Gilpin, we've seen a number of her photographs together. Sometimes they're black and white, sometimes they're in color. What's happening here?
She's working and taking care of the baby at the same time.
Yes. Multitasking at its finest, huh?
That's right.
It reminds me of the square in Santa Fe, although I know it's not precisely there, where they spread their wares out on blankets.
Yes, the governor's palace or row or whatever.
Near the chapel.
Yeah.
It looks like all her children are all very close in age. It looks like she's got 2 papooses. I don't know if they're both hers or if one's somebody else's.
You know, I wondered the same thing when I was looking at this. They look like they could be twins. They're that close in age.
Yeah.
Because I don't think one's like 12 months and the other's a newborn. They're definitely close in age. And I don't know if they're all her children, because we don't know who this particular sitter is and we don't know who the children are. So yeah, she might be babysitting if another mom, you know, is going out and doing something that she needs to do for her family. This is like the original playpen. They're on their cradle boards and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are called cradle boards, and I'm sure most of you know that turn of phrase, but these are called cradle boards. And
I did not know that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Taught me something.
So, and the nice thing is you can kind of wear them like a hiking backpack. So for nomadic tribes, like the Navajo weren't nomadic anymore at this point in time, but it was an easy way. You could wear the cradle board on your back. You could strap the cradle board to the side of your horse, so sort of like a car seat. You could tie it to the back of a travois, which would be the poles pulling off the back of a horse when they were moving. So this cradle board allowed for quick and fast movements of nomadic tribes, and it was a way to keep the baby contained. And so these are rather simple. They're typically made of wood. And then more ornate ones, and you can see them in a lot of American Indian collections at museums will have examples of cradle boards. And depending on the nation that made it, there can be beadwork on it, there can be feathers hanging from it, there can be shells, all sorts of different materials that they either traded for or found in nature. So they can be very decorative and they can be very functional depending on the use and creator.
The child on the left, what is that on the top of the head? Is that a bow?
So this one right here,
Yes,
I think if behind it, it's a shadow.
a shadow,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, they're under kind of like a brush type
Okay.
of
Like the white.
alcove. And you can
Okay.
see some of the sun starting to peek through. So that's sun here, and that's the shadow
Okay.
on the baby's head.
Because I thought, why would, that can't be a bow. I didn't know what it was.
No, it's not a bow. You're right. It's not a bow. And from what I can tell, babies this age typically did not have any sort of headdress that they would wear, even for ceremony. So it could be because other people within the nation might be wearing a headdress or jewelry or something like that. Like you can see here, I think this is probably a boy, but I'm not sure. He's got necklaces on, and she's got bracelets on. And the Navajo and a lot of nations in this area were really good silver workers. So wearing jewelry wasn't every day. You know, some of those, what are they, squash blossom necklaces and turquoise necklaces, they would that was often part of a fancier but traditional outfit. And because, this is very casual, no one is, we're catching them in what feels like we walked upon them working. Lara Gilpin, there's some contested history of whether or not she would stage her photographs. She was very close with a lot of, she returned many times to the Navajo reservation and developed quite a rapport with people there. There's still some uncertainty if she would take pictures without notifying the person that she was taking their picture, or photographing ceremonies that were not intended to be viewed by those outside of the nation. So this feels like something that might have been consensual, but again, we don't know about that for all of her photographs.
I'm gonna have to go, folks. Thank you. Thank you,
See you later,
Peggy.
Steve.
Bye,
We'll
Steve.
see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
So I'm sure if you aren't a mother, you can remember your mother being
Hi, Steve.
multitasking,
Yep.
or seeing your grandmother multitask, and kids are in playpens or kids are in a swing somewhere. So this is that kind of the chaos of the home depicted
Yeah.
on an Indian reservation.
If she is indeed babysitting for someone else, then she is not only being a mother, taking care of her children, doing a job, but also babysitting. So she's the woman doing too much.
Yeah, spreading herself a little thin, but you
Yeah.
gotta do it. Someone's got to do it.
And thinking about this, since there are two cradle boards, she can't carry both of them at the same time. So somebody else was having to carry the other one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, and it's true. You can see with a lot of these. Any real photograph of families, or even just it takes a village, particularly in what was a nomadic tribe and now a reservation. That closeness among families is really what helped
This place.
any community continue to move forward, because I'm sure a lot of people learned during the pandemic too, when you start cutting off parts of that community, how quickly things can unravel. So hopefully this mom was able to dump the kids off later and get some of her own stuff done.
Yeah,
All right, so those are our 4 mom views for the week. And I hope anybody celebrating Mother's Day has a wonderful weekend, whether it's low key or you're visiting family or whatever, sending your mom love, whatever. I hope it is the day you hope it to be.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Peggy.
you.
Oh, look, Paulette's showing us one of her photographs.
A
How
little,
beautiful, is it an outdoor scene?
Thank you.
All right, gang, I'm not sure what I'm doing next week. I never remember.
well, when you do, you let Gail know and she'll let me know and we'll just go from there.
Well, I emailed it to y'all, so I'm committed to something. I just don't know what I committed to.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
Don't go anywhere. Okay, we have moms. Make it new.
That's
You know
right.
what that means.
Make it new. It's repurposing tools to create art or objects.
Oh,
Like
cool.
recycling?
Like recycling. Yeah. So if you join us, I know Myra and Donner signed up for the version of it I'm doing through the Amon Carter. We're going to look at different artworks, but that's called recycling. So it's basically upcycling materials to create new art.
Yay.
Oh, fun.
Thank you, Miss
All right,
Peggy.
friends. I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you,
Be good.
Peggy. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
That's about halfway through the mother home.
Before anybody else goes away, because we've got Fifth Street Cafe coming
you.
up next. Gail asked me to remind you that she's going to pop in tomorrow during the middle of our presentation tomorrow. She is doing a multi-hour presentation to the police department about dementia and what it's like and how police can appropriately respond to folks with dementia. And she wants to get pictures of people who have dementia and people who do not have dementia so that she can show them that we all look alike.
Yeah.
And she's going to pop in the middle of tomorrow. And if you want her to take your picture on frame in our meeting, she can do that. And if you want to send her a picture on email, then you can do that as well. But she wanted me to let you all know that she's going to pop in tomorrow. Great. Well, why don't I stop the record? Oh, let's take a look at what's going on for tomorrow. Speaking of that. Okay. Y'all, this is a first. We have the Memory International is starting a series with us. These folks do this for the love of doing it. They don't get paid for it, but we are going to be sitting and watching with some people from Scotland tomorrow who are going to be on our Zoom with us. And we're going to talk about the jukebox days of 1950s.
Huh.
That's cool.
This ought to be really interesting. We have several set up with these folks, and these people just do it for the love of doing it and the love of folks with dementia. So be there or be square, right?
That's right.
Yes.
I wonder if Scottish jukeboxes were the same as our jukeboxes in the 50s.
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yep.